Howdy, friends. It's Steve DePoe here with the Rose Realty team with this week's real estate vlog for North Texas. Hey, today we're going to take a little bit of a departure and do a complete self-serving commercial here and talk a little bit about our seminar series that our team has developed as part of our one of the pillars of our team. So we're going to talk about our seminar series, give you kind of like a real quick summary of each one, not take up too much time. So before we get started, hey, like always, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/at moving to Dallas, Texas. Like and subscribe. That'll give you an alert when we drop a new video or we drop a new vlog. And it'll allow you to look at past vlogs, and when we get new ones in, it'll alert you. You can like look back and say, I think he talked about, staging your home or return on investment of certain projects and those kinds of things. They'll all be there. You'll be able to take a look at them. Again, that's youtube.com/at moving to Dallas, Texas. We thank you for doing that. We thank you for supporting our team, and we thank you for supporting our vlog. We appreciate you very much. Okay, so what you're thinking, okay, is that isn't every realtor a real estate planner? And the answer to that is no. It's no, they're not. Real estate planning takes a lot of certifications and a lot of study and a lot of education to get there. The National Association of Realtors does offer a certification called Senior Real Estate Specialist, SRES, and that equips the realtor to help the 55 plus community with their real estate needs. Okay. That's very kind of wishy-washy a little bit. The difference between SRES and REP, real estate planning, is like you get a base hit and you stay on first. Okay, you get a hit, you stay on first. Real estate planning is you get that base hit and you turn it into an inside the park home run. It could also be equated to SRES, good certification. Don't get me wrong. SRES being sort of a bachelor's degree, and REP being an advanced doctorate. Okay, so that's sort of the difference between the between the two. Excuse me. So what's a real estate planner and what do they do? So we understand the challenges of older Americans and how to help them in a proactive way make decisions to support their long-term wants and needs. Okay. Now, that sounds very good, but what does it sort of actually mean? Well, we're going to give you those examples of what it really means, because there's a lot of pillars and a lot of moving parts here in this in the description of this seminar series. We're going to talk about 7 seminars that we have. We have more than that, but we'll talk about senior relocation services, downsizing and decluttering, selling after you've moved, owning multiple properties. My home didn't sell, and now what do I do? Mistakes sellers make, and preparing your home for sale. We'll touch on each one of them real briefly, and maybe give you a couple of examples, inside each one. So, senior relocation services plays a critical role in managing, protecting, and transferring wealth inside the family. Okay, so what we try to avoid as best we can, and it's 100% legal, is we try to avoid those capital gains taxes that happen when you transfer a home or transfer wealth between one person and another. Okay, I'm going to give you a really great example. Okay, about 3 years ago, this couple came to me and they said, we want you to sell our property. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. They said, we're selling our property, and we want you to help us buy a new property in a 55 plus community. So they they originally bought their property like 40 years ago for like $150,000. Okay, they sold it when we had these transactions going on for like $2.5 million. Okay, so you can imagine that the whole 2.5 except for that 150. So 2.25 is taxable. Okay. And so we said, hey, here's something real estate planning that maybe you should consider. And they said, no, no, no. Our accountant said we're good. Okay. Well, they ended up paying something like $600,000 in capital gains taxes. Okay. Where if we had worked with them or they allowed us to work with them, that we could have got their taxes down to almost nothing. But as it is, they lost, after the buying the new house and after some deductions and stuff, they ended up paying like 40% of what they had, what the sale price of the house, what the sale price of the property was. We could have avoided, most of that if they just worked with us. Now, what we like to do is get financial planners, CPAs, and their attorneys involved, not to mention family members, if they have a say in it. But they were a little bit hesitant, and they didn't want to get involved, and so they ended up paying like $600,000. Okay, it was a shame. We almost cried, but that's what Senior Relocation Services does. Downsizing and decluttering. Okay. So you're gonna leave your family house where you've raised your kids, and or you're gonna move from your 55 plus community house into another facility, maybe an assisted living or a smaller type of house. And what do you do with your stuff? Okay. The biggest problem that people our age and older have with actually being proactive and making a move is taking that first step. And what am I going to do with all of my possessions? Okay. My kids don't want them. The grandkids don't want them. What am I going to do with them? I have this four or five bedroom house, 4,200 square feet, and we're going to go into a 2,000 square foot condominium or 2,000 square foot single family home. And what are we going to do with all our stuff? Well, we can help with that. We belong to organizations. We have professionals that work with us. What we're going to do is we're going to treat your possessions with respect, and we're going to I want to say dispose, but that's not the correct term. We're going to take care of them and do what you want with them. So we're either going to donate them, give them away, take them to CCA, or Salvation Army, give them to family members, sell them on eBay, whatever you want. We're going to get involved, and we're going to take a full active involvement in this, so the possessions that you've taken a lifetime to accumulate, or respected, and we're not just going to throw them in a dumpster. Okay, we're going to take care of you and your possessions. Selling after you move, very stressful thing. Last year was interesting in that we had three couples who basically came to us and threw us the keys and said, "Sell my house." We have to go someplace. We bought a house, a condo, an apartment, someplace else. We want to go there. We want to be there, and we don't want the hassle. Take care of it for us. And we were like, yeah, great. That's what we do. And so selling it remotely yourself is very difficult because it's getting people in there and getting things done. So there's one couple while they were gone, they were back east. We they ended up having to have the roof replaced. There was some landscaping out back that had to get done. There were some floors that had to be treated and taken care of. And then eventually, after a couple of showings, we found out that we had to paint the inside of the house, which was something that they were against. But eventually they bent, and they said, okay, so have the house painted. And what do we do? We go out and get, three three estimates. We have them pick the one that they want. We kind of give our 2 cents in there and help them kind of decide based upon our knowledge. And then we handle the whole process. We have a separate little division that handles project management and updates to your house and like that. And so we take care of it for you, touching base, all the time to let you know what's going on. So we don't spend your equity, but where we take care of it for you so that you can move on to that next step, whether it's back east, it's Arizona, it's Florida, it's Washington State, whatever. We then take care of it for you, and you can move on and basically live your best life, right? Owning multiple properties is an interesting prospect because a lot of people just feel like, okay, so I own these properties, we're doing well, they're throwing off cash, we're making money. But the question is the house over there on 123 Main Street making the best use of your investment? Okay. And so we can do what's called a asset study to see whether that house and that location at that price is throwing off the best amount of money for you. Okay. And if it's not, it'll say in black and white, numbers don't lie, whether that house is doing it for you or not. And if it's not, then we can make recommendations on how to move on and take that, leave it in an investment, and take that and move it into something else that would make you more cash. Okay. And that's what, so managing multiple properties, hey, if your property's sitting vacant, maybe that's not the right one. And we're gonna maybe suggest you go into a different location where your house will never be vacant and you'll always be making money. Hey, this is a good one. My house didn't sell. Now what am I going to do? Okay. All kinds of reasons houses don't sell. And we have a game plan that we put together that we can discuss with you that your house didn't sell. How do we fix that now? Right? And how do we get over that hump so that your house does sell and you can move on with your life and live your best life? Whether you're now, chances are, right, that if you say, hey, we're going to sell we're going to sell our house, you have a place to go to. You have a plan. Hopefully, you have a plan in mind as to where you're going to go, what you're going to do. Okay. And by your house not selling, then the brakes get put on everything, and your life is on hold until that house sells. Well, our goal then at that point is to reverse the tide, if you will, and to fix those kind of little errors or little hiccups that are in the system, or in your house, and then we end up kind of reversing it a little bit so that your house is prepped and ready for sale and sells in the shortest amount of time with the greatest return or greatest equity in your pocket. So that's what that's all about. We have a report on that, that if you're interested, you contact me and we can give you that report. Mistakes sellers make. Sellers make mistakes all the time. Sorry to say, it's not always the real estate agent. Sometimes it's the seller. Sometimes I mentioned that couple that didn't want to paint the inside of their house. They had like 5 different colors on the inside. And even though we did everything we could when we talked to potential buyers to say, hey, paint is cheap. You can do this. Somebody can do this in 2 days and it's going to cost you $7,000. Can they actually ask for an allowance? Okay. Or something like that. These people did not want to paint the inside of their house. Did not want to allow us to paint the inside of their house. Basically, is what it came down to. I'll tell you this, and as God is my witness, we kind of talked them into it. They said, okay, maybe that's the best thing to do. We've tried everything else. The house sold the next weekend after we painted it. It sold the next weekend. Okay, because people have a hard time seeing through sometimes the stuff that's there, whether it's paint or it's a chipped counter, or it's grease stains on the garage floor. Okay, sometimes they have a difficult time seeing past that when they're trying to put a picture their furniture in there. My furniture doesn't go with a yellow wall. Well, Okay, yeah, but you're going to paint it beige, right? Yeah, I don't see it. Well, then we paint it beige and the house sells a week later. So sellers make sellers make mistakes all the time. Sometimes it's theirs, sometimes it's taking not taking the advice or taking the wrong advice from their agent. And again, we have a white paper, you may want to call it, or a guide on that. If you want that, let me know. And then finally preparing your home for sale. What I'm going to say, 90% of the people that we work with understand that there's some preparation that has to be done in order to sell a house. It's not just throw a sign up and it's going to sell, but there's some preparation in terms of tidying, decluttering, maybe painting, maybe moving stuff out of the house and putting it in the storage or the garage temporarily until we get an offer. But anyway, preparing your home for sale again is yet another white paper that we wrote, and it allows everybody to understand the things that have to get done in order to move forward and have your house sell in the quickest time possible. So, that's sort of a synopsis of 7 seminars that we do, and these are usually the full time is probably an hour and a half, but then you know, um, that also includes time for lunch and questions. So the seminar itself is probably half an hour or so. There's probably a half an hour worth of questions, and we have a half an hour for lunch that we provide. So there you go. So yeah, look, these seminars about relocating and downsizing for a simpler life. For us seniors, selling remotely is tough. Managing multiple properties is tough, trying to understand whether this property is performing the way it should, or should we go out and get another property. It's all a lot of questions that a lot of people don't have the answers to. We're trained and certified to provide those answers to people and to make sure that they understand and they get that information up front in the planning stage so that we so that we can provide the best services for them possible. There's going to be times when you see an ad like this, maybe through an email, we'll send it through an email or text, or maybe on Facebook or Google. We put this ad out there all the time. This happened to have been one that my awesome wife Rose did back in the end of March. Legacy and family feud prevention. That was an interesting one. How many people know? A lot of people say, well, my family gets along. Well, they get along until there's money involved. Okay. So you have your portfolio or your holdings that are sort of out there. And so what's the deal with that, and who gets what and that kind of thing. We avoid the family feuds and the infighting and the destruction of family, you may want to call it, through some of these seminars and the way we help people. And then planning for the future and beyond, again, is that proactive versus reactive mindset, and helping you get more into a proactive mindset so that you're not just allowing things to happen to you. You're making things happen for yourself, and you do what you want to do, and you have the plan in place to get where you want to get in that timely manner. Okay, you're not just settling. Usually, we do these seminars, in a group setting. We deliver this information through a series. Through these seminars, we offer a free lunch. However, we hope you can attend and give us a call, and we can sign you up for one of them. We can give you our schedule. If that schedule doesn't work for you, we can do a one-on-one session where we do either come to your house and discuss the topic with you, or we can do a Zoom. Either way, kind of works. Either way works for us. Hope that was kind of helpful. Sorry for the commercial. Next week, we're going to talk about our senior relocation services, and how they could help you or a loved one get unstuck, you may want to call it, and be more proactive and more and make those decisions for themselves instead of letting things happen to them, which none of us really like. This is Steve. I am with the Rose Realty team. Thanks for listening today. Until next time.